Hi, my name's Stephen and welcome to my channel. If you haven't seen me before, I'm a former very heavy drinker, alcoholic who was seriously ill 5 years ago and managed to recover. Goodness knows how, but listening to the doctors, I suppose, and being very positive, and a few other things along the way, which I'll fill you in. I'm going to start doing some live sessions soon because we're getting a lot of questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few questions and do like a question and answer session myself at the moment, just with things that have come in via the comment section on the channel. Some are quite common, some are quite unusual, but I answer all of the queries. But I want to make sure that everything's going out to the whole audience, to be honest with you. So we'll start with a few simple ones, and we'll go from there. So one of the first questions is, how long have you been drinking? Well, over 40 years is the answer to that. I'm not as young as I look. However, I started when I was about 15. Had the odd drinking, as teenagers do, dabble. Quite a normal sort of childhood, really. Had a few tins of beer now and again, played in the band, and I found that having a drink was pretty good. I always felt a little bit detached at school, a little bit different in some ways. Not terribly detached, but when I started drinking, I felt that I fitted in really, and I always wanted to do more and be with the older lads and that sort of thing. And I thought, God, this drink is my pathway really to real life. And I matured quite quickly, and I started drinking a bit more and a bit more. And I was going to the pub when I was 16, quite tall, and I went along with a couple of rugby lads who I knew, who were similar age, but well built, and we all managed to pass. Whether we looked 18 or not, I don't know. But in those days, as long as you weren't causing any trouble, there was no ID check or anything like that. It was just a quiet little village pub. We never caused any problem. Had a game of pool, had a few pints, that sort of thing. And I also used to have some of my parents' home brewed lager, and that was quite strong as well. So a little bit quite a tolerance really over a period of time. And when I was 21, I joined the police service, and there was a lot of drinkers there as well. A lot of drinkers in every profession, isn't there? And I became um, one of the big drinkers actually, because it relaxed me, and I fitted in well, and I enjoyed my life, and I enjoyed the drink. It gave me a bit of a buzz, and it just seemed quite normal to me. Over time, obviously, it got worse, and I ended up in the West End of London, still working very hard and all this sort of thing. So became a functional alcoholic, I think, by the time I was mid 30s, and basically just drank and drank and drank and kept going until I retired and got worse and ended up with medical conditions. But if you follow the channel or other videos that cover all of this, I'm just trying to answer the questions, briefly of each title. So how long have you been drinking? Well over 40 years is my answer to that one. I would say 2 or 3 days out of that 40 years without a drink in any 24-hour period. I would still have a couple of cans now and again. So I didn't go really 24 hours without having some form of alcohol, whether it be 1 can, 2 cans, or 20 cans. And the quantity varied, obviously. That's the first question. The second one is, what did you drink? Because I got myself in a mess. I didn't get into any bother as such. I didn't get injured or anything like that, but I got myself to a point where I was, well, it's housebound really with the alcohol, getting drink delivered. I wasn't eating properly and all this sort of thing. I drank lager. That's all I ever drank. Didn't drink any spirits. Didn't like that. I didn't drink any wine. I like the long drink, a long refreshing drink. So no matter what you drink, and it can catch up with you because people think, oh, well, I'm drinking lager. It's mainly water. It'll just flush out my system and all that. It's not. It's not. It's all toxic. It's still a drug. So that was my poison really. It is poison, isn't it? Lager, but I went from the sort of 3.5 ABVs up to sort of 5, 6. The sort of brands I'm talking about, premium lagers. I was drinking them so regularly, my body never got a break. And that's one of the top guys in the hospital. How has this hit me so hard? And so it doesn't matter what you drink. It's the fact your body hasn't had a proper chance to repair So that's another question, just lager. The third one is how much did I drink? Well, at my peak, I could drink for 24 hours quite easily. I could probably drink 4 or 5 pints an hour sometimes. I used to drink steadily all day. So I could probably put away, it sounds ridiculous now, but 20 plus pints a day without batting an eyelid. In the days where I was a little bit fitter, And then as time went on, my tolerance level was higher, and I drank a little bit more, and then sometimes I got a little bit less when I was feeling ill and all that. But I always kept some sort of drink on board. I was probably drunk for the last 10 years, I suppose, until 2019, until I got myself sorted, as it were. So yeah, 20 pints wasn't unusual for me. I know guys now drink that at the weekend, but I was doing it every day, and I still was okay. I didn't get myself into too much trouble. So yeah, 20 pints quite easily, which is, when you look at it, it's crazy. The other question I get asked a lot is how did it affect my life anyway? Well, it affected every area of my life, really. I still performed at work all right because I had to. I did all right, but relationships, well, I was married, went down the pan. When you become an alcoholic, I don't know what point you become an alcoholic, I'll discuss that later. You don't focus on anything else other than having a drink. So you don't give anybody any time, any love, any respect, and you become quite selfish, conniving, a bit of a liar maybe even. Hide drink, and you convince yourself, you convince everybody else that you're not drinking too much, but you know you are in your heart of hearts because you're feeling groggy all the time. You can't wait to get a drink, get the pub, and all that sort of thing. So it affects every aspect of your life. But there's other detail in the other videos about that. Number 5 is a bit more complex because at what stage did I become an alcoholic? Well, I drank from the age of 15 and I enjoyed it then. I liked the taste, the buzz, and what effect it had on me, really. Now, when I was a teenager still living at home, my mother said to me, have you got a drink problem? I said, I came out of the blue, you see. I said I played in the band at that point, and the band used to come and practice at my place now and again. And the cupboard was full of empty cans of lager, I didn't think it was a problem because we all had a few drinks. So maybe I've been an alcoholic all my life. I don't know. It's a very fine line because my view on it is you can go from moderate drinking, or social drinking to moderate drinking, then to heavy drinking, and then you become an alcoholic. There's no time scale. But maybe I've been an alcoholic all my life. Maybe it was in me. I don't know. But it was very habit forming for me. And I didn't want to stop. I was asked several times by my ex-wife, why don't you go to the doctor? Why don't you do this? Why don't you stop? I tried to cut down a little bit, but I just still go to the pub. I didn't want to stop. I had no reason to stop at that time. I was still fit and what I thought was quite healthy, really. So you need a reason to stop. So, it's to try and work out when I actually became an alcoholic is impossible. Are you born an addict or you drift into it? I don't know. I've heard various drug addicts have the same sort of opinion that they've been an addict from birth. I don't know if it's in your personality, DNA, whatever it is. But once you pass the point of heavy drinking and you rely on it, and your body, you're physically relying on it, then obviously you're an alcoholic then because you become, it gets to the point where you just can't function without a drink. And I used to have to get up in the middle of the night and have a drink just to get myself, put the loo or get up in the morning, before I had a shower, I had to have a drink, and it just became, I had to have a drink to live, if that makes sense. So when you become an alcoholic, not quite sure on that one. There's not an exact science on that one, really. How much did I spend? Well, there's a thing. In London, obviously, it's more expensive than most places. I would say about £1,500 a month. Which is a lot of cash, isn't it? You got to earn a lot of money to get £1,500 a month. So yeah, £1,500 easily, and that's probably not including what I would call ancillary costs, such as food that you probably don't eat. but you fancy, after a few drinks, kebabs, curries, you know, the sort of thing I'm talking about. Taxis, money you might lose, or drinks that you buy for people who you don't even know because you get into a crowd. Because when you're a drinker, you can sit in the bar, you know, and suddenly you've got lots of friends, or there's lots of other people like you in the bar. Especially when you start drinking early, 11 o'clock. I mean, there are pubs now that open at 9 o'clock for alcohol, as you know, in every major town. So the amount I spent, I would hate to add it up. But at the time, especially when I was younger, I enjoyed it. It was my life. You know, when I had a day off, I thought, oh, I'm going to have to drink even more now. And the money didn't go into it. I used to get credit cards out and get cash out. I even used to go to the Bureau de Change in central London, but in those days when you could just use your Barclay card and say, oh, 50 quid, £100 a day. That wouldn't be unusual. That's going back a long time. 25 years, you know, 30 years. £50 a day, £100 a day. Get the underground into the West End and just drink all day, and then go home. Then my wife at the time would come back and, what have you been doing? Oh, just been had a couple of drinks, you know, but been out all day. And I was sorry to laugh about it, but it just that was where it was. I just drunk all day when I was off work, and so did a lot of, well, not a lot, a few of the people I associated with did. How did you stop? Now there's a couple of videos on this one. I tried to stop a couple of times when I was about 40, and I took some time off. I came up to the northeast and spent some time with my parents, and I just stopped. So within about 16 hours of my last drink, I thought I'll have a little walk down the house. It was a very hot day, and I didn't feel particularly well. But I always used to carry a couple of cans in my case if I went anywhere, just in case I couldn't get to a bar or something. But I didn't have the cans. I thought, God, my parents would be watching me like a hawk, you know, because everyone knew I had a drink problem at the time. So I started to walk down to the town, and I felt suddenly very lightheaded. I was going to faint, and I started to shake uncontrollably, and I collapsed in the street. I didn't lose consciousness, and this woman came over and said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Well, not really." So I tried to stand up. I was determined to stand up and just keep going, but I couldn't. I kept falling down. There was a group of building guys across the road. They came over and helped me get up, and they called an ambulance. I refused to go with the ambulance crew, so I got a lift back to where my parents were. I stayed there the afternoon. About 6 o'clock that day, I was feeling so groggy. I said, my father, I've got to get to the hospital. He said, well, just take it in the car. Only 5 miles away. I remember no more until about 5 hours later when I woke up in the hospital. I had a massive tonic-clonic seizure because I'd stopped too suddenly. I didn't know you couldn't just stop. I thought you just stop. You couldn't. Well, I was physically and chemically dependent on it by then, you know. And then I got taken to hospital. I had this Valium, and I saw the doctor. Then we had periods of diazepam for 7 days, which is basically alcohol in tablet form, which will wean you off it, basically. And I thought, oh God, I feel really good. So I did that, and I kept relapsing. Now, there's a few videos on here about relapse. Relapsing is what kills you. Because when you stop for a few months, weeks, years, days, then go back on, every time you go back on, it affects you more. It did me anyway. So I had like a year here and there off, then I'd go back on the drink, but I felt better again. And you know, and you think, oh, I'm all right now, I'm in control. The alcohol will control every part of you. And once you become addicted, like I said, I don't know when that happened, then you can't go back on it. You cannot, but people do. 99% of people do, I think. A lot of people will be in hospital, have all sorts of things done to them, and they'll still go back on the drink because it's an addictive drug, isn't it? It's legal and it's addictive. So it's very difficult to stop. And in the end, 2019, I was hospitalised, and I thought, I've got to stop now. I was told by the head of acute medicine, if you don't stop, if you have another drink, that's what he said to me. One Sunday afternoon, he said, if you have another drink, I guarantee you'll be dead in 6 months. Now, when you hear that, then you sit up and take note, don't you? and I haven't had another drink. I don't intend to, because my life's wonderful now. You've got to try and just see the light and get a bit of common sense maybe, and just say, well, that's it. I've done my time now. If I want to live, I will stop. It's not easy. Every day is a struggle sometimes for a lot of people. I've got friends who have been into situations as I had medically, in ICU and resus as I've done. Then they've gone out and drunk again a year later because they felt better. They're back to square one again. It shortens your life by, but alcohol misuse, if you're addicted basically, it will shorten your life by, on average, about 25 years from the general population. It's a massive chunk of life, isn't it? So I've covered a few questions briefly there. We're going to do a question answer thing once a week on a Wednesday. So if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments box, and I'll try and get I'll get onto as many as possible and do them here, so at least everybody can hear the questions and the answer. And if you've got any queries about what I've done tonight, please get in touch with me. But if you enjoy the content or you're getting something from it, then please subscribe and leave me a note in the comments box if you have any questions. As I said, I'm not a medic, but I can give you an alcoholic's view or a heavy drinker's view of life. I've been down at the bottom of the bottle. I've had medical issues, which are now thankfully fully recovered, and unbelievably. Even the consultant's quite surprised, but I did follow their advice to the letter. Very clean diet, no alcohol, obviously, and be positive and exercise as well, and use a bit of common sense. I'll use that again. Fruit and veg, good food, and don't overdo the salt because that's bad for your liver and all this. Don't overdo the sugar. Just look at it. Your body, you've only got one body, haven't you? You've only got one life. You've got to look after yourself. You don't want to die a young man. I nearly did. I was so close to death. It was unreal. Everyone around me thought I was going to die, basically. And some people in my hometown thought I'd already died because they hadn't seen me around for 2 years. I was in the hospital for 2 years. I'd been to every hospital in the district overnight and, been admitted. And one I was in for weeks and weeks and weeks. 16 weeks, I think, was the longest in one hospital. So yeah, keep the questions coming, and I shall get back to you all soon. So Wednesday at 8 o'clock, I'll try and do a live session, or at least I'll do some question and answers, and we'll go on the live after that if anybody wants to chat and join in. Okay, I'll speak to you soon.